Fish swimming in the bay, hamster dancing on the hay. I'll show you the way during my first day
at MediaSauce.
Hello, I'm Wes Madison, interviewer extraordinaire, and today I'm going to be speaking with employees of MediaSauce, a marketing and communications company in Carmel, Indiana. Hello, and thank you for being with me today. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you. I like your shirt. Thanks. I like your haircut. Why, thank you. So kind, sir, in the flashy button-up shirt. Who are you, and what do you do? Well, I'm Adam Innes, and I'm a multimedia specialist here at MediaSauce. Fascinating. And can you tell me how you came to work at MediaSauce? Yeah, I actually moved down here from Chicago, left the airline industry as a curriculum developer and trainer to come work at MediaSauce. And David Kane always jokes that he and Brian Gray scouted me across multiple regions and industries. Really? And what was your first day like? It was a little scary. I came in a bit early, and when I showed up, there weren't a lot of people here. So I was walking back to the back office where my desk was, and I was really nervous. I was like, do I stop by in David Kane's office and say good morning and reintroduce myself, or just do I go to my desk and get settled? So my heart was like pumping and pounding. Like I was like, it's such a simple decision, but I ended up just kind of like sneaking past Dave's office real quick just to get settled and calm down. And he eventually came out and introduced himself again and welcomed me into the company, but I found out years later he actually forgot it was my start date. Fascinating. But do you expect me and the viewers to believe that this is the whole story? Actually, there's a lot more to the story. I was driving into work that day in a 1994 red Cavalier.
Captivating. Yet, as I listened to Adam's charming story, I began to wonder what other first-day stories were working around the building, so I set out to find them.
How did you first come to MediaSauce?
How I first got to MediaSauce, gosh, Brian, do I go way, way back?
My wife worked here. I was kind of disappointed with my last job, so I started hinting around to my wife about looking around, and she said, well, maybe you should come in and meet, David Kane and Brian Gray and see what they think of you.
Brian, number one, convinced me to take the Colby evaluation. And I was scared to death to take it. I thought, what if it doesn't come back accurate? What if it's not what he's looking for? Probably about 3 months into it, I finally filled it out. And my natural instincts fit that of a salesperson. Never done sales, but I feel like I've been selling since I was 2 years old. So wasn't afraid of it. My husband was more afraid than myself.
I did submit my resume, and they sent me a little Colby, which I had no idea what that was, and filled it out and sent it back. And then a couple of weeks later, David Kane called me in, and we sat down and had a brief meeting.
The mothership came down, beamed me up, and deposited me in David Kane's office via Mike Rendell. Actually, my friend Tanya works at Rested Moon in Broderville. She mentioned to Mike, who actually she calls Puddin', that she thought I would be a really good fit. And so Mike mentioned it to David. I had emailed my stuff over to him and found myself in his office.
And what was your first day like?
Well, it's always a little stressful your first day at work. You're always spend a lot of time meeting new people, but you're also trying to make good first impressions and see how things are going to work out. And I started off doing all photography basically, and it was a little freaky because I had just moved to Indy. I didn't know anybody in the office really. I didn't know anybody in the area, so I didn't have any connections. So I'm like, man, I'm just gonna have to pull something out of nowhere, finding these people for models and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a interesting start, and but things picked up pretty quickly.
First days are rough. You kind of bring to it some. You try not to do this. These preconceived notions of what things are going to be like. I had pretty much worked my entire career on a Macintosh computer. It's kind of. It got me into my career. If it wasn't for the Mac, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I forgot to explain this to David Kane in the interview process. I don't know. But I come to MediaSauce, bright and early on, and they basically point me to the desk, and there's a Dell on my desk, and I'm a good sport, so I just I sat down and tried to get comfortable on that Dell. But I don't know a PC as well as I know a Mac, so I felt behind a little bit. Like, okay, I got some catching up to do. But and they assured me it was a temporary situation. We're moving some things around and getting some people adjusted, and we'll get you a Mac here in a second. But it was funny. It caught me off guard a bit.
What were your first impressions of the company, the people?
I think here there's so much creativity that's allowed to flourish that it inspires others. So that was really exciting to me. There's like an energy, a vibrancy in the building that I was immediately drawn to. It was like a beacon.
We're the pretty girl at the ball. We're banging out stuff that people have never seen before, or if they've seen it, they don't know who does it or how they get that stuff done. And it's just very validating to me that other advertising agencies are either falling to the wayside or they're trying to morph their business into something that we already are.
And when did you feel like you really belonged?
Wow, that's a great question.
I don't know. That's a great question.
I felt that way in the interview process.
I think right away. I mean, I came in. I introduced myself at the company meeting, and I felt a part.
You start believing and buying into the philosophy of the organization, and then when you get here and you start getting comfortable, it takes a little while. Part of what MediaSauce has done in a very short time is grow very quickly. You're creating your own rules at times, and there's no right or wrong way of doing things, but sometimes there is. So I would say, I'm making this a very long answer, but I would say it took a couple months to really get my bearings and get comfortable. And maybe that happened once I got my Mac.
What were your first impressions of Nate Gruel? Nate G. I say G because I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I mean, is it Gruel? Is it Gruel? Is it Gruel? Gruel. Nate G. Is really talented, and when he came on board, he added a lot to MediaSauce. What do you think of Don Schindler?
Don. He's scary looking, isn't he?
The first time I saw him, I was scared of him.
He wears the bold look very well. He looks kind of like a Nordic warrior, I think. And I also especially like the goatee.
It's definitely good having a big, man's man just heading up the pack,
He's successful at that look because you never see any food in his beard. I don't know if you've noticed that or not.
What were your first impressions of Sherry Augsburger?
Her real name is Julie. I don't know if people really knew that. But she likes to go by Sherry. I don't really know what the history there is, but her real name is Julie.
Who? Sherry Augsburger. Sherry Augsburger. Sherry Augsburger. You mean Julie? Enchanting. I wonder what today. I wonder everyone has a first day, and it's not always easy. People come from all different kinds of backgrounds and histories, but these people have united together to make art that matters, that helps people and their businesses. I hope this expose has allowed you to reflect on your first day and the profound and inspiring reasons that led you to MediaSauce. Thank you, and have a good day.